Hey everyone, it's ChromaGlitch, and today we're taking a look at Strixhaven, a curriculum of chaos.
There are a lot of cool things that have been added, and we're going to do a quick look at the colleges and some of the new monsters and magic items in the compendium section of the module.
We'll be making a separate video going over more of the module as far as gameplay. So this one is going to be very much focused on the compendium and a lot of the cool new things added. And so with that, I guess let's jump in.
One of the coolest things Strixhaven introduces is the dual dean system for each college. Opens a floor to a lot of interesting roleplay opportunities with opposite takes on the same philosophy.
Strixhaven also welcomes half-casters, which is something I really like. So like your Eldritch Knights, Paladins, certain Barbarian subclasses. It was kind of like, cool, more stuff for Wizards and full casters, but everyone else is kind of just like, kind of an afterthought. But I've been really impressed so far with what it's added and how much it includes, you know, the half-caster subclasses.
Yeah, there's been a lot of inclusion and consideration given to, like, certain colleges have explicitly stated barbarian subclasses and other things.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Lorehold was
as an example,
who said, yeah,
Lorehold.
just specifically barbarians, and Lorehold is like the history college,
yeah,
which you wouldn't typically think. Like, I'm sure barbarians kind of have like this stigma around them, where it's just like, you know, people are like, oh yeah, that's, you know, my dump stat is intelligence and wisdom and stuff like that. But I think certain barbarian classes would be very good.
Yeah, Dave the Barbarian was very smart.
Did you just say Dave the Barbarian from Disney Channel? Oh,
was it Dave or was it Dan? Or...
It was Dave.
Okay, it was Dave.
We mentioned Lorehold College, so I think it's fun to note that Lorehold is an interesting place. Lorehold is the College of Archaeomancy. I hope I'm saying that right. The mages that study there explore the past, pore over like archaeological sites, use magic energy from old tomes, summon spirits of historical figures. So it sounds really cool. Of Order, Augusta Tolas, and the Dean of Chaos, Plarg.
And Plarg is one of the greatest things about Lorehold. He is a blind orc that specializes in military history. And it's also made like a magical braille system.
Oh yeah, using like magical embossing.
Yeah,
like, that's awesome.
Magical embossing and heat lettering. It's super cool. And on the other side, the Dean of Order like is powerful enough to raise entire legions to reenact historical
don't want to be late
battles.
To that class. You just have a legion of just these warriors. Why are you late to class? Dude, waking up late. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, and on the subject of late for class, it would probably be in students' best interest not to go too fast on Lorehold campus because it's built on a natural chasm with ancient ruins and new construction right next to each other. On account of that, there's a lot of like rickety bridges and stuff, and it's not entirely unheard of for students to like
can you imagine just, you know, you're playing in a campaign and you just hear, can you make a deck save for me? And it's just like, I'm just trying to go to class, what are you doing? I'm already late.
Shouldn't be going so fast.
Make a deck save for me.
And yeah, but on the cool note of that, every now and again, if it's a particularly precarious or egregious fall, sometimes like spirit statues will help out and like grab students, pull them back up, that kind of thing.
Just
and,
you think you're falling and then the statue just Iron Man carries you back up.
Yup.
Oh, and I think the funny thing with Plarg is, like, I can't help but imagine, because they say, like, you know, he's known for, like, his excursions kind of being dangerous.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like advanced magic school bus. And just like, can we please go on a normal field trip with Plarg? No way. Just,
yeah.
Like, that's all I see.
It specifically notes, like, you know, most of the trips end in trips to the infirmary, and it's like, oh, what's going on with Plarg?
Okay, next up you have Prismari College. Prismari is, you know, known as the College of Elemental Art. So it's, you know, devoted to studying, practicing art intertwined with magic, which can be really fun. This definitely seems like the college for the more spontaneous characters in a campaign.
The bold and brash,
yes,
as it were.
yes. Or even just the emotional ones. You know, your loner types might just need some artistic expression.
Absolutely. And on the subject of expression, there's, similar to Lorehold, two deans, perfection and expression. And their philosophy is sometimes expressed as intellect versus emotion.
Which I think that for, like, I mean, it's an art school. I'm going to call it an art school. For an art school, that's a very, you know, that's kind of how you go into it in art school, whereas, you know, there's this, like, you have to do everything by the book, and, you know, it has to be perfect, and you have to completely copy the reference exactly, no, you know, expression, and then you have the one, you know, the instructors who are just like, I don't care. Express yourself. It's art.
Glorified tracing as perfectionism.
Said it, not me.
You're
gonna have a lot of people come after you on that one.
Oh, Lord. The campus itself isn't nearly as dangerous as Lorehold, but there are still things that could be dangerous or fun, depending on how you look at it. For example, one of the coolest parts of it is a place known as Fury Gale.
That just sounds fun. That just sounds fun.
It's super
I'd go there, honestly.
It's essentially all the cast off, like, fire, lightning, whatever elementals, and, like, say a rogue fire.
It's basically what all of us former art students did to all of our charcoal drawings we were forced to do, and kind of just threw them in a closet somewhere, and we don't go in that closet because we know that the charcoal fumes are gonna hit us. That's Fury Gale, but with magic. and
high level
dozens of people's former projects thrown in the same kind of like storage room.
Yeah, and it's roped off and stuff, caution signs everywhere. And aside from that, the campus itself, on the less extreme, has a bunch of, like, geothermal activity, rugged spires, rocks, and cool areas.
What you'd expect from an art school. Yes, magical STEM college.
Quandrix is a college of numeromancy.
I'm sorry, there's just so much math.
Oh, man. Mages can summon creatures made of fractals or turn abstract theories into towering, spiraling patterns. Like, if you ever saw the movie A Beautiful Mind, and the equations started becoming, like, actual creatures, is how I imagine that would work.
I can see that. That's a good way to describe Quandrix.
Yeah, and all the
and all of the fractal magic they do. That is actually kind of a good way to describe it. But, you know, the mages there, you know, they make these fractal. They make creatures made out of fractals, like to expand and multiply, you know, to make themselves taller or shorter, you know, whatever they need. Also to increase, like, their knowledge or size by bending numbers.
And they have two deans similar to the other colleges, deans of substance and deans of theory. And I just thought of this in my head reading through this, but, like, there's a condition called, like, synesthesia, where people see, like, numbers as colors and shapes and stuff, which, reading through this would be really interesting, because I see some of the overlap of, like, how patterns and numbers materialize into fractals in some of these creatures, so that's really cool.
That would be interesting, I would say. It's also one of the campuses that is the least threatening, just, like, campus grounds wise. Like, it's actually in a very pretty area.
Yeah, perfect geometry.
And perfect geometry, lots of forest, and like, it's by the coast, so it's like you come from, like, Lorehold or Prismari, and it's just like, oh, there can be things that are green
and safe.
We're not in constant danger.
And the next college we have up is Silverquill College, or the College of Eloquence, which funnily enough, seems exactly like where bards literally went to college.
Bard College. That's basically what it is. I think a cool thing about it is that they have one way they can create spells is through spoken word battle poetry. Like, yes. That's awesome.
Like, reading through this, it became clear that actual rap battles can now be canon in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, freestyle.
Do with that what you will, DMs
yes.
and players.
Yes.
They have the two deans, along with the other colleges, the Dean of Radiance and the Dean of Shadow. College's perspective of Radiance envisions language as sunlight emanating from the speaker or writer to, like, illuminate and inspire others, which is super cool, and believes in making the world a brighter place. Mm-hmm. Mages who embrace this view use, language skills, literary devices, and magic to uplift and empower others to essentially pierce through and shine light on the evils of society and to inspire the best in those around them.
Then you have, like, the perspective of Shadow, which focuses on the power of language to stab. I like this one.
That's
by exposing, like, stinging truth. Shadow mages, often manifest, their powers as, like, bolts or blades of darkness or, blotching, like, flowy ink. Effects kind of range from, like, having the sting of shame to an assault on the target's life energy, which is very interesting.
Oh my gosh.
When you think about it. It takes the pen is mightier than the sword, quite literally.
I just imagine, Light Yagami in Death Note as a Silverquill Shadow Bard, just writing names in frantically, like, coming up with the most extravagant ways to, like, literally assault a target's life energy.
I mean,
That's awesome.
Another cool thing about Silverquill is that they have this dramarium. That's how you pronounce it one way or another. Where, students can train in fitness, dance, martial arts, and, other acts of, physical performance, which is really cool to see because it includes martial arts, which is an art.
Yeah, monk classes using the key force and energy as another example of inclusion and consideration is super cool. Students can avail themselves of the preparation space called the Grey Room, which has hair and makeup salons, voice rehearsal booths, mirrored rehearsal spaces, and spa facilities.
It's really cool. And, like, one cool thing that I would love to see happening in the Dramarium is that, because it has, like, fitness, dance, martial arts, and other acts of, physical performance, there are lots of things that encompass physical performance. You think of, like, hula dancers. That's physical performance.
Hula dancers, circus rings.
Yep. Circus performers also. But, like, I'm really looking at it more on the cultural side. As a way for people to incorporate, like, their especially for DMs, to incorporate their players' actual cultures and things into it.
That would be
because there are a lot of cultures that use, like, physical dance as well as, like, martial arts. There, I'm forgetting the name of it, but I know there's, like, a martial arts style that's kind of very much made to look like dance.
Oh, capoeira.
Yes, capoeira. Which is really cool, and that would be a cool thing to see kind of, like, played out in Dungeons and Dragons, because I feel like Silverquill, it has the, shadow powers and things, but I think it's really cool that it has, like, and I think this also crosses into Prismari as well, for, like, art, but being able to have, like, those cultural elements that can really kind of just, like, bring a game to life.
And how much more appropriate for Silverquill can it be than art imitating life?
Yep. And last but certainly not least is Witherbloom, or as I like to call it, Dangerous Hufflepuff. Witherbloom is the College of Essence Study. And you're gonna you know why I call it Dangerous Hufflepuff, because everyone used to be like, oh, they were great at botany and stuff, and you get great botanists come out of Witherbloom.
Yep.
They're kind of dangerous botanists too, but they're great.
They're dangerous because they They draw power from the opposing forces of life and death, which you're like, oh, okay. But they brew their spells from natural components and the essence of living creatures, using that power to heal or harm the living or to raise or entreat the dead.
Yeah. So, you know how the joke is that a necromancer is a late healer? Well, a cleric is just a necromancer with a watch. You know, it's the same coin. It's the same coin, and you can't tell me it's not. It's life,
that is
death.
2 for 2.
That's 2 for 2. Oh my goodness. I would actually go to Witherbloom. I like Witherbloom.
It sounds fun. No,
it sounds fun. You know, Witherbloom students can learn how to, you know, cause entire forests to blossom out of nowhere. So, you know, you got your druids kind of doing their thing, or they can call down, you know, curses.
They watch The Prince of Egypt. Some Witherbloom mages defend ecosystems from pollution, while others revel in the power of corruption.
This is great for chaotic neutral characters because anything goes. It's just like, which one am I gonna be? You have the 2 deans of Witherbloom, called the Dean of the Root and the Dean of the Vein. Philosophy of the Root, how life constantly has this drive to thrive. Very inspired.
And the philosophy of the Vein, or decay as it's sometimes known, focuses on the inevitability of death and decay, essentially the entropy theory. Fans of, say, Isaac Asimov and the writings may know that well.
But, you know, Witherbloom's campus is also tucked away in a bayou, which bayous are fun. Oh, yeah. There were a lot of interesting creatures in the area around the bayou, and, you know, my favorite is, like, this canine-like creature called Groofs. Basically, rough with a G. Like how dogs bark. And they're so cute. Like, they just have, their nose just looks so boopable. Like, I would go out into the bayou looking for this giant canine-like creature just to, like, pat it on the head.
So all your rangers and druids, animal friendship.
Rangers are gonna love Witherbloom.
The snoot.
Rangers would love Witherbloom.
Another really interesting thing about Strixhaven Curriculum of Chaos is that it adds a plethora of backgrounds and options in that, which, you know, you have your standard 2 skills, equipment, pouch of gold.
Yeah, you get your standard things. More of a quick start background, I would say. For if you were just like, okay, I just want to make a character who wanted to go to this specific college. That's their whole life goal, is to get into this college, this university, go to this college, learn this stuff. Also, just immediately get a feat, and the background is called Lorehold, and then you'll get feature, which is like Lorehold Initiate, and you have to select the college you want.
Yeah, the really interesting thing is this is the first background we have seen in official D&D content that grants you a feat in the background, which
at like level 1.
Yeah, at level 1. It works similarly to Magic Initiate in that you get 2 cantrips and a spell from a list. However, it has the list in the feature itself.
Yeah, it also has like a background spell list that you'll get as well. So on top of, say, you have an Eldritch Knight, so you'd have your Eldritch Knight spell list. You'd also get some, you know, just bonus spells from your background as well, which is really cool because, you know, you also have martial classes aren't just kind of out of the loop and don't have any spells. They can take the feat. They'll take the feat and they'll at least get some.
Which is super cool because the cool thing I noticed in the background about the spells is it's similar to, because certain cleric paladins will have, say, oath spells of level 1 through 5, but it even takes multi-classing and pact magic both into account. This spell list exists across every multi-class, regardless of what spellcasting ability modifier that class used.
Yep.
Which
it kind of lets you huge. It kind of lets you do a thing where you basically, for instance, again, you know, have a tiefling fighter Eldritch Knight. You got tiefling spells are charisma. That's your modifier. Eldritch Knight is intelligence because it's from the wizard. You may have dumped one of those, making the character. You don't want, like, you have the option now to where you have the spells in both lists, and you can kind of just go, oh no, you know, my modifier I'm using is, you know, my charisma because it's higher. So I'm using it specifically from this spell list. That would be like a kind of quick example.
Interchange them as well is super cool. Say you find a headband of intellect and your intelligence jumps to 19. Well, all of a sudden,
yeah, I want to use those intelligence.
You can use your intelligence modifier for one of the multi-classes for these spells, which is awesome. Nothing but love for that feature.
Yeah, the feat is really cool, I would say. So another, you know, cool thing about Strixhaven is it introduces, I think, 8 new magic items, of which 5 are, you know, a primer, which is basically like a textbook for each of the colleges. The primer is pretty cool.
Yeah, each primer essentially has 3 charges that, like, give you a D4, like a guidance spell to add to some skills. And if you study the primer, you essentially get like an extra spell you can cast in the day, I think without a spell slot.
So basically, do your homework and you can cast more spells, is what it's saying.
Yeah, and do better on the college-related skills. Actually very thematic to study with magic items.
It is. I think another, you know, fun magic item is the bottle of boundless coffee.
As a millennial, that is necessary to life.
And, you know, it's a metal bottle that carries, you know, just warm coffee. And when you open it, you can't put any liquid in it. Other than it only produces coffee. So you can't put anything in it. It's not like a thermos. I mean, it is kind of like a thermos, but it's a thermos that only has coffee. The coffee is always like perfectly warm. You can't feel any of the heat through the bottle, so you're not burning your hand. And each time you drink the coffee, you roll a d20. On a 1, the bottle refuses to dispense coffee for the next hour. So can you imagine just doing a late night study thing? You're like, okay, I need coffee. And you nat 1. And it just, like, the cup refuses to give you coffee. Like, no.
It's like Hulk when he's just like, no.
And you also can't pour the coffee out of the bottle. Is the thing.
Oh no.
You can only drink it directly from the bottle. If you try and pour it into a cup, it just disappears. And I think that's freaking hilarious. Strixhaven also introduces, I think, 5 new spells. Yeah, 5 new spells. And some of them are pretty interesting, I would say. They might be a little OP. We're gonna have to see them in action. Because depending on the things they're combined with, they might be a little OP. I know there's one, borrowed knowledge, which I think that one has the potential to be a little OP. It's a divination spell, which those are notoriously OP. And so with it, you know, you can draw knowledge from spirits of the past, choose one skill in which you lack proficiency. For the spell's duration, you have proficiency in the chosen skill. The spell ends early if you cast it again. So you can't, and this has a duration of an hour. So, and it doesn't require concentration, and you can basically just give yourself proficiency in a skill that you don't have proficiency in.
You can combine this with skill empowerment. I believe it's a spell from Xanathar's, but it essentially gives you expertise in a skill you have proficiency in. You lap 2 of these on top of each other, your bard, your wizard, whoever can just go into any situation and have expertise in it.
Yeah. It's a little powerful. I think another cool one is Witherbloom. You can invoke both death and life upon a 10-foot radius sphere from a point within range. Each creature of your choice in that area must make a Constitution saving throw, taking 2d6 necrotic damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. Non-magical vegetation in that area. In addition, one creature of your choice in that area can spend and roll one of its unspent hit dice and regain a number of hit points equal to the roll plus your spellcasting ability modifier.
That's awesome, because one of the biggest concerns is hitting your friend with Fireball in the heat of combat.
Or any AoE spells.
However, with this, let's assume, your fighter, your barbarian, whoever, is in melee combat with a combatant. You can throw this sphere up and not only deal damage to that enemy, but heal your friend. And typically your spellcasting ability modifier is going to be higher than most players' constitution modifier. So that's a lot of hit points they're getting back, and a lot of hit points drained from the enemy. So that's absolutely awesome to be able to do that.
It really is. And that's the compendium for Strixhaven. Again, this is a quick first look video. We'll do a more in-depth series of the module itself, covering like gameplay, mechanics, and how all the stuff really fits together in action.
And Strixhaven introduces a lot of cool things and opens a floor to really being able to customize what's offered. We're excited from what we've seen so far.
I would say we're excited. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. If you have any things you're excited about with Strixhaven, let us know in the comments section down below.